We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You can find me on Twitter at Eric Talks Stros. You can find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. And Brett, where can they find you on Twitter?
They can find me at H-Town Wheelhouse on Twitter and at Stros411 on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Always positive, always Stros.
All right. So, some of those days during off season, there's like absolutely nothing to talk about. And you're like just pulling for just anything. That's not today, ladies and gentlemen. There are a lot to talk about, including Jeff Luhnow suing the Astros. And now we know that why he did not want to come onto this podcast. And we'll see what happens in the future. Also, Michael Brantley, he wants to return, possibly. Oh, George Springer. Well, we know he's pretty much on his way out. Is there any way we already know where he's going north of the border? Maybe he just doesn't want to be in America anymore. I don't know what's going on, but there's so much to talk about on this edition of the Locked On Astros podcast. And you can get Locked On Astros on podcasting app Himalaya, as well as Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And when you get in your car, tell your smart device to play the podcast Locked On Astros. That's a lot easier to say than it is to say. So anyway, some days stories just write themselves. And like right before this happened, Tony La Russa, it came out that right before he got hired, he got charged with a DUI. And this happened back in February, but it's like, okay, why are we just now hearing about it? But I guess it takes that long to actually process everything. But who cares about the White Sox? The Astros are making news. And once again, it's not the pretty type of news. It's the type of news that like, oh crap, what's going on now? So you want to go and summarize what happened at 7 something this morning?
Well, Jeff Luhnow is announced that he is suing the Astros for breach of contract, I believe, claiming that Manfred and Crane struck a deal to scapegoat Jeff Luhnow and make him the mastermind of all. Basically, how he was basically maligned by the press, called the leader, the ringleader, the guy who started the code breaking scheme.
Yeah,
The code breaker. Luhnow was fired last January after the sign stealing scandal came out. And so basically once it came out, everyone assumed Luhnow was in charge of it. I mean, he is a detail oriented guy, and we've heard his side of the story. And he has come out and said publicly that I did not know about this. And should I have known about it? Yes. But he's alleging that they negotiated penalties for the sign stealing scandal, which enabled them to pinpoint and paint Luhnow as the main guy, as the reason. And so basically they did that in order to save more than $22 million in guaranteed salary that was supposed to be paid to Jeff Luhnow.
But also the whole, I love the way they put quotations over investigation. But the thing is that he's saying that basically Rob Manfred gave Jim Crane 2 different punishments that they could do. And this was the one that Jim Crane chose. He said that, oh, this will be the better one. And this is where no players were suspended. This is where Jeff Luhnow and not just him, but AJ Hinch would lose their job. But AJ Hinch and Alex Cora, who was one of the ringleaders, if not the ringleader of the thing, I think that's El Jefe Beltran there. But both of them are back in employment in Major League Baseball. Jeff Luhnow is not in employment, and he's probably never get employed in baseball again. And we don't know what's going on with Carlos Beltran. We don't even know if he even wants to. I know he wanted to be a manager, but does he really want to get back out there after what just happened? So, but it's the fact that he basically alleges that Jim Crane and Rob Manfred came to a deal to not only save the Astros $22 million. I don't think Rob Manfred gave a crap about that. He said, okay, well, if you want to keep your 2017 World Series, this is what you need to do. And that's what basically Jeff Luhnow is alleging in here. And he's saying that Weiser, or whatever this guy's name is, Cook, is
He,
that Cook?
I was like, okay, where's this
But
show
anyway,
going?
let's just say Cook Weiser, whatever his name is, remained employed by
Coke
the Astros.
Wiser.
Coke.
Actually it's Koch. So like Tom Koch on ABC 13 News. That's his. I actually think it.
I've already
Sorry,
called him a chicken, so we might as well just
no,
go ahead and go with.
it's actually Cook. It's actually
Okay.
Cook Wiser, not Cockwiser. You
That,
could be Cockwiser with this, but it's Cook Wiser.
I actually thought
So
about that afterwards because of Greg Cook on the radio, and I'm like,
yes,
oh
there
yeah.
you go. There you
So,
go.
but he's basically was the ringleader of the whole thing, but he was allowed to keep his job, and as long as he kind of implicated that it was Jeff Luhnow, and so
This is
go ahead.
this is what's interesting is the fact that he's coming out and saying that Manfred gave them the option of taking the World Series title. So, where Manfred has actually alleged that he was not going to take their title because he didn't want to set a precedence, if this is correct, then Manfred very much was considering it. If he said you got two options, and so there are a lot of people that are mad at Crane for not sticking by his guys. But
Well,
would you have stuck by your guys if this is the case? And they said, well, you can do this, or you can keep your title and do this, or we can take your title and you can keep those guys and we'll just, whatever, suspend them. But I mean, if whatever's true in this, this is crazy. Like this scandal keeps getting peeled back. I mean, it's like onion. It's a layer after layer after layer, and I'm wondering how much more there is to uncover here.
well, Jeff Luna, we never knew how much he made, and I didn't realize. I mean, you would think that he wouldn't make that much, but he was supposed to be guaranteed $31 million, and so he's claiming that because I mean he did get some. I'm sure he got some type of severance package, but he lost more than 22 million in guaranteed compensation, and that's not even
Wow.
including the they said unspecified profit sharing interest and scheduled to vest from 2021 and 2025. So this is, and you know that Luna was not just building for now, but he was kind of building to keep on winning. And I think that he was supposed to get paid even more, especially after he won for a long amount of time. But I don't know if the title was losing the title would be option. I just think that Manfred probably came out and said, "Look, Jim, I can call you Jim, right? Okay, let's go and get this taken care of." So I don't want to take the championship away from you because I definitely don't give it to Dodgers. They were just a bunch of whiny babies and everything. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But
Well, they
he
were.
so
They kind of still are. Anyway,
yeah,
sorry.
but I don't think that was part of the discipline. I think that was kind of something like if you don't play hardball, then maybe I'll do it. But he was never going to do it. So uh, this is what he said. So the commissioner vetted potential penalties with Crane, and the two exchanged a series of proposals. Those negotiations proved beneficial to Crane and the Astros. The commissioner allowed the Astros to keep the 2017 World Series championship, imposed a $5 million fine, a fraction of the revenues that Crane had reaped in as a part of the team's success, and took away 4 draft picks. He also issued a blanket vindication of Crane, absolving him of any responsibility for failing to supervise his club. So, while I don't know if the options were like you're going to lose it if you don't do it, but I, it this if this is all true, this shows that the commissioner didn't really care about they don't really care about the cheating. I think the only reason why people they care about it is because the teams are making such a big deal about it.
You,
Good.
you know why they don't care about the cheating overall as the underlying story or the overarching theme of this entire narrative is because if they cared about the cheating, they would have to also go after other clubs that were named in this report that remain unnamed. This mysterious letter that has yet to be opened with the New York Yankees. There is damning evidence from teams across the league. Now, I'm not saying that, listeners, because I'm okaying what the Astros did. I'm telling you that if you thought the steroid scandal was bad for baseball, can you imagine if the cheating scandal was full on unveiled as to the extent of what all the teams are doing? It would be, I mean, I'm sorry, if LeBron James gets offended because one team won a World Series title because of cheating, imagine if you uncover 10 to 15 teams that were also doing the same. And maybe you find out other teams that won titles did some of the same stuff. I'm just saying,
That's a
they
lot of
don't want it.
documentaries.
It is. I mean, dude, that would help the film industry. That'd be like a
Right.
stimulus package to the film industry. Our guy Columbus Trey does our intro. Could maybe do some voiceovers. The the Cleveland Indians won 22 games because they cheated. I don't know. I don't. Sorry, Columbus. I totally butchered your voice. But do you see what I'm saying? They don't want it to be the theme. They don't want it to be the topic because if it is, then they've got to call everybody on their crap, and they're not going to.
Yeah, before we move on from this, I know that there's a lot to kind of discuss with this and decipher, and we'll have to see how the league reacts to this because this is not going to go over well, and everybody's be like, "Well, look, another cheater trying to get out of this," and so we'll have to see how. I must unplug myself.
Okay, you. So we will move on to the topic of the Rookie of the Year vote. Is
Yes,
that
and
correct, Eric?
yes,
All right.
sorry, I unplugged myself for a second there. So anyway, so yeah, just like I figured, Kyle Lewis was pretty good player this year. He got off to this incredible start, and everybody's like, "Whoa, this guy keeps on hitting homers." And uh, while he may not be any Rosarina in the playoffs, or even make the playoffs, maybe anytime soon or anything like that, but he still did it in a regular season. And Kyle Lewis was the unanimous AL MVP, and we saw that last year with Jordan Alvarez. And I know a few people got some second place votes. And I think that what's his face, Luis Robert got second place overall, but Christian Javier finished in third place, and he got 11 third place votes. That's pretty good. I mean, considering who they were facing, I know you were talking off air about some of the guys who got second place votes, and I'm like, well, whoever has more third place votes will equal the ones who got the second place votes and all that stuff, yada yada. But this is something that I saw brought up a lot on Twitter today was the fact that both the AL and the NL uh, Rookie of the Year award winners were African American, and this is something that hasn't happened for a while. So this is showing. I don't know if this is a trend in baseball or just meaning that we may see more of the African Americans come back to baseball because I know the other sports may be a little bit more this, but this is awesome. I think that both these players really deserved it, and just to see what they've done. And I know that Kyle Lewis is on a bad team. Let's not talk about that. But
Well,
that
no,
was the
it's
Astros' only choice to get a award winner this year.
no, yeah, and that's significant. And I'm gonna mention this because I think it relates 100%. Um, I live in League City, Texas, and we have League City Little League, and our Little League for the most part, I would say, is probably our players are 95% Caucasian. There's very few African American kids that play. We have quite a few Hispanic kids that play. But my coach that I've coached with the last few years, he said when they first moved to League City, he said he noticed all the All Star banners, and he said, "Hey, Dad, I noticed none of those kids look like me." And he said, "Well, son, if you work hard, one day you'll get it." And this last year, he made his first All Star team, and he was really proud of his son. And he said, "Wow, this is one of the first times I've seen someone like me on this All Star team." And while some people may want to be like, "Well, I don't want to get into race and all that stuff," it's really significant because these young ball players growing up, it does make a difference when you see people that look like you, when you see people that have gone through the things you've gone through. And to see Kyle Lewis and Devin Williams to both be Rookie of the Year the same year is actually really phenomenal for baseball. I mean, we all know with the Jackie Robinson thing, we all know that the whole 42 being retired. But baseball. baseball is getting things right when it comes to things like this. They do a great job reaching out to the international market, but I think you will see, because of guys like this, because of players like this, you'll see more and more kids. You got Cabrian Hayes, you got other guys like that. That as they come up, more kids will see them, and it will inspire them, and hopefully get them to play more. I know the Astros have a great program called the RBI baseball program, which is run by Major League Baseball, and they are in inner city programs where they're predominantly minority communities, and they do a great job being ambassadors for baseball and softball. So yeah, Eric, that's actually a great pickup. I think that's very significant for Major League Baseball.
All right. So I know yesterday's show was mostly about Jackie Bradley Jr. and it showed how fast the offseason can kind of turn. Today's focus kind of shifts to Michael Brantley, and including a Ken Rosenthal article on The Athletic. And this is what was written in that article. This is from Ken Rosenthal of Springer and Brett. And oh, sorry, wrong thing. Where is that? Sorry. Yet the Astros are not ready to retool, and for a good reason. After finishing the regular season 29-31, their young pitching helped them come within one game of reaching the World Series. They already have re-signed first baseman Yuli Gurriel. They're trying to work out a deal with Brantley, who is interested in returning. That's a big thing, because all I've heard so far is that he's not interested in returning. But this is him saying, okay, I'm ready to come back. Yes, the Astros did not offer him the qualifying offer. I think even Michael Brantley, especially at his age, would be like, you know what, dude, I'm not worth 18.9 million. So I could see the Astros not doing that. And so I think that they can work out a deal. I think they've done it before. Maybe Michael Brantley likes Houston, and maybe he had fun during the playoff run, and who knows what's out there. But he is not on the George Springer level. George Springer is still young, and he's going to get some big bucks. Jackie Bradley Jr., who do you think gets more? Do you think Michael Brantley or Jackie Bradley Jr.? I can't say that. Will
Which
get
one do
more
I
money?
think gets? Which one do I think will sign for more money? I think ultimately Brantley will sign for more money in a 2-year deal. I think the market is higher on Brantley. But with his age, it's not going to be much more. I know right now Jackie Bradley's, according to Sport Track, his value is around 12 million a year. I think things are a little bit adjusted this year. I don't see him
I
getting
thought
12 million a year.
I thought I read MLB trade rumors saying that he was 2 years, 16 million, like 16 million for total. So I don't know.
Okay.
I
I
thought
okay.
that's what
I
we
yeah.
talked about yesterday, but I could be wrong.
I yeah. It was either 2 years 16 or 2 years 22. I'll actually look it up while we're talking, so I'm
That's fine.
giving y'all accurate stats. But the thing is, I do believe that Brantley. See, I don't. But who holds more value? Like Brantley's bat, I mean, obviously there's a big drop off from Brantley's bat
Right.
from
But
Brantley
Bradley
to
can be
Bradley Jr.
he could be your center fielder. And the Astros
True,
don't have
and
a
he's
center
younger.
fielder outside of Miles Straw, and maybe we'll see what some of the younger guys can do. But Miles Straw as an everyday outfielder, I don't think they've really given him much a chance to even try that out. He's played occasionally. They've put Aledmys Diaz in left field and had Springer basically always played left center field, and then a few games you'd have Straw out there, but you need an everyday center fielder that you can trust, and that's why I thought that they would go out and get Bradley. But same time, you know how confusing this will be if the Astros signed Bradley and um, uh, Brantley.
You're having a hard time with these
Yeah.
Hey, hold on, listen. Brantley, Bradley, Bregman, the
Ooh, the
killer
killer
bees, the
bees.
killer bees
We can steal it back
2.0.
from the Red Sox.
Yeah, that's oh yeah. Well, they were like the anyways. So his value is 2 years, 22 million. His average annual salary, calculated market value is 11.2 for Jackie Bradley
Okay, so
Jr.
you're right.
Okay,
Okay, I must have misremembered.
so no, yeah, it's okay. Oh, we need to see if we could get old Roger Clemens on the show sometime. That would be really cool. Um, let's see, Brantley's market value, because here's the thing. I know some guys try to come on these podcasts acting like they know everything. I don't know everything. See, his average annual salary is 21.3 million. His market value is 3 years, 63 million. He ain't getting that. Okay. He
Not
is
in this
not getting
market.
that. No, he may. I mean, here's the thing. If they didn't offer him a qualifying offer of 16.9, then he probably gets between 12 and 14 million a year. He signs maybe a 2-year deal. I don't see him signing more than a 2-year deal. The thing is, with Jackie Bradley Jr., you could get a little bit longer deal, but his bat needs to be a little bit better more consistently, because Bradley Jr. is batting two. Shut up. Bradley Jr. is batting 238 on his career. So while he had a great year this year, it was only a 60-game season,
Right.
and I don't know how much a 60-game season is going to up your value in overall market. But I like his glove. We know he can mash the ball at Minute Maid Park. He crushed the Astros in the playoffs, and he hits well here. So who knows? I think that we have a very strong possibility of having a Brantley, Bradley, Tucker outfield.
Put Bregman out
But
there. Come on.
right, but others are saying that if the Astros get Brantley, that they'll go with Miles Straw and Tucker. They'll just go with Miles Straw in center field. And if they do that, it means that they're probably going to sign other people. So
Yeah.
hey, let's talk about this. Guess who else is a potential landing place for a free agent, a famous free agent?
George Springer. We know that.
No,
What? What?
no, for the Astros. Guess who? Guess who's a potential Astro next year? That's a free agent.
Who?
Charlie Morton.
Oh, well, they name him, or I saw that there's 8 to 10 teams interested, but
Yeah,
are the
they're one of
Astros?
the 8 teams. Yeah, they're one of
Oh,
the 8 teams.
I must have
Yeah.
missed that. Okay.
See, you gotta
Well, he
you
liked it
gotta get
here.
in.
He wanted to
Dude,
return, but Jeff Luhnow's like, "Nah, man, I got no money for you. Got some money."
Jeff Luhnow's like, I'm about to sue them. No, I'm joking.
Yeah,
But okay,
Astros don't
so
got any money now.
yeah, it'll be like the Houston Luhnows after this is all said and done. So okay, so you're about to go with the whole Springer to Canada thing, weren't you?
Yes. So this is something that was very interesting because I know you can't really believe every rumor, but today it was reported on MLB Trade Rumors that reported from somebody else. I didn't really look who, but that the Blue Jays are going hard for George Springer and Bradley. And that would actually make a lot of sense for George Springer to go there. Think about how young that nucleus is. Think about how exciting that team could be with George Springer at the top of the lineup, with Bichette over there, and with all those with Guerrero and all
BGO.
those Biggio. Just imagine that team.
So yeah, you got Tasker Hernandez, who is a former Astro, who is killing it right now. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. They've pretty much relied on Randall Grichuk, okay,
Houston
who
guy.
actually he actually had a good year, a good 2020, a 112 WRC plus with 12 home runs. He batted 273. But yeah, dude, if they add Springer and Brantley Jr. Now, here's the thing. Let's say Brantley Jr. doesn't come to the Astros, right?
Mhm.
And let's say we get Brantley. Are there any other free agent targets that we would go after? Would we stick with Miles Straw because we have to have the bullpen help?
Yeah. I think that if they get Brantley, they're going to have to stick with Miles Straw. I think they're going to have to, because especially if they do anywhere close to 21 million. And that brings up the question about how much did they offer George Springer last spring for an extension. Um, you have to wonder if they thought they had a great deal for George Springer. Hey, how about this extension? Do you think you'll like it? And George Springer probably looked at him like, really? You delay me from reaching free agency. Now you come offering me this crap. I don't. like this. I'm trying to do the
Is that
Godfather, but I
is
haven't.
that is that how he sounded?
I haven't seen that movie in a long time. So, but earlier I said some guy mentioned this. It was actually John Heyman. So that's some guy, right?
No, that's a yeah. John Heyman is some guy. That dude. Whoa,
What
that
was that?
did you hear that? I don't
Yes,
know. I
that was
said
pretty
John.
awesome.
I was trying to keep an ad from starting, and it was Xfinity, whatever. So, dude, like, I mean, George Springer's going to get 25 plus million. I mean, that's all there is to it. You know, he's going to get a big deal.
Yeah.
Um, and but as much as I hate to see him go, if he went to Toronto, I wouldn't be mad. I mean, whatever. The guy has done wonders for this club.
They
A
wreck
lot of
pitchers over
people
there. They
do
destroy
what?
pitchers. They destroy
Ex-
pitchers.
yeah, they do. They do. But I mean, the Blue Jays, I mean, maybe they don't need any pitching. Maybe they just need an offense, and then they just hope to just
You
basically
can't outslug a team in the playoffs. You have to have some type of pitching. And I know they have some young
true,
talent, but
true.
I don't know if they was Shoemaker on their team last year. I forget, but I don't even know. I know Ryu's on their team. That's all I know. And that's all. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's more people, but I don't really pay too much attention
You're
to.
sure there were like I think
The,
there were other guys on the field. It was like Ryu and like Vlagro Jr. and
yeah,
maybe some other guys.
Bichette, and then you had a Biggio out there for sure. I mean, ex Astro, but that's all. Oh, Gurriel, that's all. And they're all just being the superstar kid, little t-ball guy who'd run to outfield, catch the ball, then go pitch, and then
The guy who
catch. Yeah, the one who's
the
just
guy who
running
sings
everywhere.
the guy who sings the national anthem. Oh Canada. Sorry,
Alrighty, alrighty, alrighty.
I'm actually part Canadian, so I can actually sing that. My grandmother's actually full blooded Canadian, and kind of a cool story about that was she always rooted for the Toronto Blue Jays, and I will never forget when they won the World Series. She called me, and she was crying, and she sent me a letter to tell me about it. Now, I mean, she had called me and told me, but then 5 days later, 6 days later, I get a letter from my grandmother, and you know what? I kick myself. I don't know what I did with that letter, but it was a great letter, and she talked about Joe Carter and Cito Gaston and all the Blue Jays, Roberto Alomar, all those guys, and it was just really cool. So um, I've always kind of liked the Blue Jays. I've always liked their Blue Jays uniforms, and with their whole like superstar, son of the '90s superstars team that they have, it's actually kind of a cool team to kind of root for secretly, even though we're diehard Astros guys.
All right, all right. I know what to get you for Christmas, a Blue Jays hat. Let's
Hey, you
compare.
know what? Hey, for the record, I would probably wear it. I would wear it in honor of my grandmother, in honor of my Mimi, who I might add was pretty badass. You know why?
No.
She actually she actually shot a grizzly. She shot a grizzly, and the only reason why she shot it was because it came at her, and she closed her eyes and she pulled the trigger, and she downed a freaking grizzly bear, dude.
Because it
That's
crossed the road.
awesome. Yeah.
All right.
No, true
To
story.
kind of wrap up the show, Jesse Spector, he's I forgot where he writes for, but somebody tweeted out earlier that the MLB's plan is to eliminate 40 minor league affiliations. One of them is the Trenton Thunder, which has been
Oh
a
yeah.
notable Yankees team for a long time. But they
It's
said
our
that
double A team.
yeah, and then they also said that the two teams are currently independent would be added. So I think that they're saying this Cricket tweet was basically the Sugarland Skeeters may become an official minor league team, and I think one of them is a team in Houston. And so Jesse Spector said, "Well, it's about time that the Astros get their minor league status or something."
But here's the thing. Here's my question about that with Major League Baseball is that doesn't make any sense. Like I'm obviously not a Yankees fan at all, but I was reading up about I read a write up that was from I think the mayor of Trenton, and it was excoriating. It was basically blasting Major League Baseball, talking about the hundreds of millions of dollars over the years that the Trenton Thunder have brought them, and how the people are employed. And I mean, he said that hundreds of players that have made it to major leagues, thousands of employees that have worked there, and just he goes, it's a lifeblood of our community, and it's really sad. And I was like, dude, I really feel for these towns. And I mean, I'm happy for us to get the Sugarland Skeeters on there, but it doesn't make any sense. Why would you take one of the most profitable minor league teams and kick them? I mean, take a team
Because
that's
another
not,
team will do it for cheaper.
but do what for? But they're making all the money. It's
Yeah.
not. It's not expensive on MLB. It makes them money. It's one of the highest grossing minor league baseball clubs in the
You know that
league.
for a fact.
Yes, look it up. They have the highest attendance. Okay, yeah, they are one of the top five most popular teams in MILB. It's like them, like Elsinore Storm. Um, I'm trying to think of the other two or three, but they are up there. I mean, the Trent. I don't know. I was shocked that such a successful Double A team like the Trenton Thunder was getting the axe. I mean, the Grasshoppers. Do we even know what club they're affiliated with? Just get rid of the Grasshopper. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you take out a major revenue stream for minor league baseball? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that what they're doing is just trying to save a buck or two here, and they don't realize how much they affect the local communities. And so, oh well, I mean, there's nothing that you and I can do besides just complain about it, and maybe somebody will do something about it. But I don't think they're going to be like, you know what, Eric and Brett were talking about this on the podcast. And speaking of which, we'll be talking on another podcast tomorrow, and we have a special guest that's be lined up tomorrow, and we're getting excited to talk about him. Do you want to mention him real quick?
We're talking about our Wednesday guest.
Oh, sorry. Duh. No, tomorrow's gonna be just us. I'm sorry. I'm so messed up with
So
your
that's okay.
Wednesday and the
Okay. So for tomorrow's show, it'll be us again. We know you love that. Then the next two shows after that, we actually have two different guests lined up. Um, we have the famous Jordan Alvarez sighting super fan John Bruton is going to be on. He's going to share some really cool stories. He's going to talk about being a season ticket holder in 2020, what that was like, and his budding memorabilia collection. And then after that, on Thursday, we will have Columbus Trey on Twitter, who is the guy who does our famous intro for Locked On Astros. He's going to be on. The guy is from Houston.
right.
He is living in
A good
LA, but
guy.
he's a voice actor, great guy, and he's going to join the show. And we've got some other guests next week. I'm not going to tell you who, but I'm pumped. I'm pumped about next week's guests as well.
All right, so that's all we got for this Locked On Astros podcast. Don't forget to go check out Gabrielle. I know that she's not too thrilled about Alex Cora being the Red Sox manager again. So go check that out. Go check out Solely over the Locked On MLB podcast, and check us out every day as we cover the Houston Astros all off season long.